Hi, friends. This is Mangalaprathaban talking about the importance of using multimodal composition in our second language classroom. Today, I'm going to talk about the strategic use of multimodal composition. You'd ask me, why are we supposed to use it? What are the advantages of using it? How are we going to really support our learners by using it? Very simple. Multimodal composition of learning materials and learning processes would help the learners to identify new strategies of learning or new solutions in learning. You would ask me how, for example, if you're teaching grammar, whenever you teach grammar, you're not supposed to use only the textbook-based, uh, you know, uh, talk and chalk method. Instead, you can try uh, giving them videos related to grammar, or you can think of grammar games. There are apps on grammar games which you could make use of. You could combine your textbook with interesting grammar games, or sometimes it could be even based on storytelling, or it could be also based on what you call scenario-based learning processes, where you can identify some videos or podcasts, and you can combine your grammar teaching with all this. So that is going to really change the way they're going to learn. So the learning process becomes quite easier, or rather better, and it's going to be very interesting. So that is possible only when you fine tune the strategies of you know learning ambience or creating a learning ambience. And multimodal composition of learning ambience and learning materials will support the learner to learn without much of a strategic realignment. In other words, learning becomes an effortless process of getting to know about the new phases of understanding. And learners have to learn together. They have to learn in groups. They have to learn in pairs. They have to learn and interact among themselves. Well, even they interact, they get to know how to use it. See, strategic, you know, pairing of learners, I would say complementary pairing of learners is also very important. Because you make sure a poor learner gets, gets the inputs of a learner who is really the best. So when the teacher is not teaching him or her, this learner who doesn't understand may sometimes ask the support of the other learner, right? That is why we say we should have complementary learning taking place in the classroom. And group learning is also another strategy. I'd always say put them in a group so they sit together, interact together, talk about it, understand it. So they would certainly uh, harness the best. So strategic learning processes will become, the finest only when you fine tune the multimodal composition of learning. So my simple suggestion for you at this point of time is to ensure that learning becomes highly successful. You intensify the learning processes with scenario-based learning strategies. And for that, multimodal composition of learning materials will be very important. And learners will get bored to use only one particular mode of learning all the time. So you could use different ways of testing along with learning. Say, for example, if you're going to test their ability to use simple tenses, you might ask them to do some gap filling exercises wherein they have to use real conditionals or unreal conditionals or impossible conditionals. Or you could play an audio where a particular verb is missing. So they could come up with a form of a verb. And they could really get to know whether it's the present or simple or past simple or future simple. So help them to get that strategic inputs. At the same time, make them internalize the repertoire of the language. So only when you internalize the repertoire of the language, they know how to use this effectively in any circumstances. And for that, you need to provide them several samples of real-time language use. And most of the learners who are learning English as second language may find it very difficult to find the right places where they can use it. And it is our duty to help them to use the language. Today, your Clubhouse is there, so they can go to Clubhouse and participate in a debate, or they can be part of any net forum and they can discuss things with them, or they can use hundreds of e-learning materials. I would always say, even my students, I always tell them they can watch hundreds of videos in the YouTube related to this. But they should also make it a point to listen to certain apps, like, for example, BBC Learning English app, right? So they learn by listening. That's very important. And they learn by reading. And that opportunity is also not there. Many of them are lost in the process of just watching the videos and never read. So reading is another important area that we have to work on. And multimodal composition of learning materials are to concentrate on storytelling, using flashcards for beginners, and giving them stories based on, the so-called photographic biographies, photographic autobiographies, photographic narratives, or animation movies, or creating, or rather making drama movies, etc. These are important areas that we can work on to make sure that multimodal composition of learning becomes highly successful, especially when we teach the students who, in the second language classroom. Hope this has been useful to you. In case you have anything more, please feel free to talk to me. I wish you all success. Have a great time. Bye-bye. See you.